Okay, intermediate algebra. Let's do 4, 5, and 4, 6. They are two halves of the same coin. Let's recall back to 4, 2 and 4, 1. We learned some of our rules for exponents, including the product rule, where if you're multiplying with the same x or with the same base, you add exponents. We're going to apply that to more than one term this time. You'll see what I'm talking about as we get there. But as a reminder, let's do some things. These are the exact same ones from last time. Let's look at number 1. We'll worry about number 2 later. Negative 3z to the 4th times 2 to z to the 6th, or 2z squared, is negative 6. You multiply the coefficients, and then you add the exponents, z to the 6th. Now, what happens if you have more than one term? This means we have to use the distributive property. This is multiplied by this whole thing. That means it gets distributed to both terms and multiplied into both terms. So 4x squared times 3x is 12x cubed. 4x squared times 5 is 20x squared. And they're still separated by a plus. So that's anything that's multiplied gets distributed to every term. Similarly, if we've got 1/2 p squared times 6p plus 12 plus 8p to the 4th, this 1/2 p squared is going to have to multiply by every single term. So 1/2 p squared times 6, half of 6 is 3, so this is 3p cubed. Half of 12 is 6, p squared. Half of 8 is 4, p squared times p to the 4th is p to the 6th. So we just distribute and carry on with the rest of the problem that would come after that. But this is, again, one term times multiple terms. It becomes a lot harder when you have multiple terms times multiple terms. There are a few different ways to do this. Some of you have probably in the past heard of FOIL, and your homework will ask you to use FOIL. I prefer different methods. Some people do the box method, and some do the lining up method, which we'll talk about in a second. When you've got 2 times 3, for example, these two both get distributed times all 3 terms in the second group. So 2x times x squared, I'm going to do the lining up method first, is 2x cubed. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times 2 is 4x. So each row represents one term that I multiplied into the rest. Now I'm going to do 1, and I'll do it in the next row down. I'll make sure that they line up vertically. 1 times x squared is x squared. Notice that I lined that up with the other x squared term so that I can add vertically later. 1 times 3x is 3x. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 is sticking out on the end because there was nothing to combine it with from the previous set of multiplication, so that when I add everything in common, we get 2x cubed plus 7x squared plus 7x plus 2. Now, there's a different method for doing this called the box method. How that works is you count the number of terms. It's 3 by 3 in the case of number 2. And you kind of write the terms out. So x squared plus 5x minus 1, one vertically, and the other horizontally, 2x squared minus x plus 3. And you kind of make a box. So to make sure, this helps make sure that you multiply everything by everything else. Now to figure out what goes inside each box, you look at the two things that line up to the box. So notice in this top left box, x squared and 2x squared, so I'll multiply those two to get 2x to the 4th. Now x squared times negative x is negative x cubed. X squared times 3 is 3x squared. Now 5x times 2x squared is 10x cubed. 5x times negative x is negative 5x squared. 5x times 3 is 15x. Negative 1 times 2x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Now, it's not nearly as obvious in this one what we're adding together. However, if you look at the diagonals, the diagonals have all of the things that have the common powers in them. And those are the things you have to combine for each term, and it goes from top left to bottom right. So my first term, there's only one of them, it's 2x to the fourth. My next term, I have to combine 10x cubed minus x cubed, so that's plus 9x cubed. Here I've got to combine negative 2x squared and negative 5x squared, which makes negative 7x squared, plus 3x squared, it's minus 4x squared. X plus 15x is 16x, and then the minus 3 is also by itself. It's the same thing as how these are staggered and off-centered. These are just in diagonals inside the box. Some people like this for a visual representation. I'm okay with you using whichever one you want. Now when it says the arrow method, that's this. On your homework, it'll probably just ask for the answer, so your method is your choice. Okay, so let's practice with 2x2s though. The FOIL method, because that's the majority of your homework in these sections. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. While it's good for 2x2s, again, it will make you miss some terms if you have anything else. So just make sure that you know that this is still the distributive property, but it only applies to binomials multiplied by other binomials. And this is how it works, first, outer, inner, last. They're telling you which terms to do. However, the homework is not going to know if you use the FOIL method. So if you have another method you like the box method, feel free to use that. And of course, I'm never going to force you to use FOIL on any test. When finished, you just combine your like terms, which are usually the middle terms, and you go from there. So let's practice this. X plus 1 times x plus 5. First, x times x, outer, x times 5, inner, 1 times x, and last, 1 times 5. So this is x squared, 5x, x, and 5. And then you add them all together. So x squared plus 6x plus 5. Now again, you don't have to use this if you don't want to. Some of you might prefer the arrows or the box. Drawing the arrows does the same thing. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is plus 3x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And when we combine our middle terms, this is x squared plus x minus 6. So whichever method you want, you may use. Let's move to the next page. We'll do one more here, and then we'll move to the next video. 3x minus 1 times 4x plus 3. Let's do this with a box to see how it looks in 2x2. 3x minus 1, 4x plus 3. 3x times 4x is 12x squared. 3x times 3 is 9x. 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. It's again the diagonal that gets combined, so it's 12x squared. 9 minus 4 is 5, plus 5x minus 3. And we will continue this section in the next video.